What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi Fruit Loop. What you know?
Um, that you getting old. That's
Oh
what I
my
know.
goodness. You're not
You and
kidding.
your back pain.
Okay. So, after 40, you kind of hit that point where it's hard to tell if you slept wonky or if maybe your kidney's exploding. And this is where I am today.
Yeah, I think you got kidney stone.
Maybe it's in one spot, but like when I move, it hurts
Yeah.
like certain ways. Is that
Uh when I had mine, they said, "Oh, this is like having children." I said, "I ain't having no
I had
kids."
a kidney stone right after I had Mason,
Mm-mm.
and I was crawling on the floor. Not gonna lie, it was
Yeah, it
worse
ain't
than
no
having a
good.
baby.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I just want to say our sponsor emailed me today and said, "You have a package coming tomorrow, but you can't open it until somebody is filming your reaction." So it's like Christmas. I'm super excited. Don't know what it is, but I will post whatever I get. So, if you guys want to be surprised like that, because I think you can send your stuff off, and then we
Yep.
know when we opened our packages, it was just way more than we thought. You can go to www.twocooltshirtquilts.com/pretty lies and alibis. And I did clarify we had some international listeners who wondered if they shipped out of the country, and they do. So, Fruit Loop, what can they do for you?
They can take your t-shirts and make them into a quilt that is too cool.
Yes. So I'm really excited. I will post my little surprise when I get it. Cat fights, 4 a.m. It's happening on a regular basis, and I have figured this out. Okay, you guys love Sherlock stories. Well,
You're gonna be like Aunt B. She like had like 150 cats in her house. They're just gonna start coming in your door, like on what's that movie, Pets 2 or whatever?
oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah.
coming to you.
Well, I have this one little stray that I feed. He doesn't have a tail and he looks like a bobcat and he's precious, but Sherlock's very jealous. So here's my thing. I have ring cams all over my house, right? The whole parameter is guarded. I'm just paranoid. So I noticed every morning at 4 o'clock or so, Sherlock goes across the front door camera and sets it off. And then Ozzy, my brother's cat's right behind him. I think what happens is Ozzy follows Sherlock in, and Sherlock's coming in to go night night with me. And then it's a territory thing. So Ozzy hops up on the bed and it's like the rudest awakening. I mean, it just sounds like two women screaming.
I would say cat fights are like brutal.
Oh I mean, my bed is full of hair. I
Yeah.
literally kicked him back out, and then I lay down. I get all the cat hair off with a roller at 4:15 in the morning, and I lay down, and literally a big patch of cat hair goes right in my nostril.
Because you got your fan blowing.
I do. I sleep with a fan. Everybody in the South sleeps with a fan. I don't care if it's
Yep.
winter, summer,
I do.
whatever. We sleep I do.
Yep.
So, anyways, we're gonna talk about Josh Duggar and some filings that have been put out. His trial is in a little over 2 weeks on the 30th. Um, excuse me, y'all. I'm a hot mess today. So there have been some filings in the Vallow Daybell case. We're going to go over those tomorrow. I haven't looked at them yet. I took a nap. But it seems like they've sent subpoenas to the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, one of the stake presidents. So I'm going to go through those in the morning, and tomorrow we'll update on those. But we're going to go with Josh Duggar now. Okay. Before we get into these filings, couple of things. Jim Bob, as you know, he's running for Arkansas State Senate. Well, on his website, he posted these, I guess, quotes from himself about all kinds of stuff. So we don't do politics on the show at all, but he's running as a Republican, and he says some things about the far left, but he talks about cancel culture, and he says they don't want him to run for office. He says they say because our family has faced problems, we should shrink away, and that made me really mad. It's not
Yeah.
like they've dealt with little problems. He's enabled an abuser for many years.
This is a big problem.
This is a huge problem. If you remember when we talked about this in the past, they were aware of what Josh had done before they went on the show. Kept it a secret. Let's sweep it under the rug. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I will vote for like whoever aligns with my beliefs. I don't go there. But this is different. I don't see how he
Yeah,
thinks he's the victim.
it's not like a little kid stole chewing gum and we can just sweep it under the rug. Like this is major.
This is criminal. And not only
Yeah,
that, but he protected his son when
yeah,
his son had molested his own daughters, Jim
yeah,
Bob's own daughters.
yeah.
Anyways, I get the willies. So Anna had their seventh baby. Her and Josh delivered a baby in late October. But get this, Fruit Loop. You know how Josh was exposed in the Ashley Madison scandal, which is
Mhm.
essentially where married men meet women for sex. His name was on the list. This was all in the press. Guess what they named their daughter? Madison.
No way.
What are they thinking?
Well, it would.
Clearly they're not thinking. I can't imagine excuse me, his wife would allow this. And I can't imagine that he would. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get these people in general.
I
So weird.
mean, get me. He. I'm trying. I'm trying. He would have a lot of say in that.
I just don't get it. I mean, I did feel sorry for Anna initially because a lot of people reached out to us and said, these people are raised that way. They're raised that the husband's never wrong. You follow him, even if it's into a pit of lava, essentially. But, with everything, I don't get it. I don't get why she's standing by him at this point. She has 7 kids with that man now. How did he even get to be around his kids with the charges?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's sickening.
drives me
Yeah.
crazy. So, The Sun, which is kind of a gossipy little tabloid thing, but I'm going to quote them because they have gotten some exclusive stuff on this case. They said yesterday that Josh has hired a new lawyer to join his defense team kind of at the last minute. And he's asked the firm currently representing him to act as co-counsel.
Ooh.
I'm going to let you take over. I need a good cough session. I'm going to mute my mic.
All right. He had until October 18th to change his plea to guilty, accepting a plea deal, and he didn't, so it's game on. Josh Duggar's attorneys are asking that state witnesses be sequestered during his trial that is set to start November 30th, which I just think that's crazy.
They're not going to let them sequester these witnesses.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And can we just remind you guys that the victims in the stuff they found on his devices were as young as 18 months,
Yeah.
up to like 8 years. And don't forget, the FBI agent said some of the material he found was definitely in the top 5 worst stuff he's ever had to look at. Oh, put him under the jail.
Exactly.
We're sitting here saying like, oh, we want a fair trial. No, I just said guilty. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
So in the filing, it says that Duggar also respectfully requests that this court's order also prohibit the government and or witnesses who are sequestered about the trial or other witnesses' testimony prior to their testimony. And his attorneys say that sequestering is necessary given the allegations and the significance of prior statements certain witnesses allegedly made. For fairness, it's important that each witness testimony not be influenced by what transpires in the courtroom during trial.
Okay, the truth is the truth. They're testifying on the stand, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the truth's the truth. I I don't I don't know.
Well,
I don't
here's
think
the
if
thing.
you're telling the truth, I don't think it's going to be influenced at all by what transpires in the courtroom. You know what I
It's
mean?
not. I think that what it is they're getting close to trial. We're 2 weeks away. And I think that they're starting to get very nervous about their chances. And so they're trying to throw anything against the wall and see if it sticks because it's not looking so good for the pedophile here.
Yeah, they're just reaching. So the state objects to this and is asking the court to enforce the standard rules for witnesses, which I agree with.
Yeah. He should not
And
get any special treatment.
no, and
But, a lot like Lori, speaking of, never been held accountable for anything in his
Mhm.
life. When the molestation scandal broke, the family told his punishment, which was essentially to go with some person affiliated with their church, and they had to shave his head in front of the congregation, and then he had to go help build a house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's skirted responsibility his whole life, and I think what's happening is they're starting to realize this is a federal trial. His goose is cooked.
Yeah.
He's done.
Yep. So in the state's filing, they say the defendant filed a motion requesting this court enter an expansive order sequestering witnesses during trial and specifically requesting that the government, but not the defense, be prohibited from speaking with its own witnesses during trial. To the extent the defense is requesting the government be prohibited from speaking with its own witnesses during trial, the government asks this court to deny the defendant's request. And the judge hasn't issued a ruling yet.
As far as we know, I have not checked today, but I don't think I've
I
seen
didn't see
anything.
anything. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't see anything either. The state also filed a motion regarding statements Josh made during the November 8th, 2019 search of his business. The motion says they do not intend to introduce any of the 10 portions of Josh's interview, but they want to reserve the right to introduce portions of the recorded interview if Josh's team seeks to introduce evidence or argue that his non-custodial statements were somehow involuntary or unreliable. The defense is also asking that Josh's supposed addiction to adult porn be kept out. The state says they have a right to question Josh about his character, including truthfulness, if he takes a stand in his own defense, and they're asking that evidence relating to this addiction be allowed in. I think it should be.
I do too, because it shows, it kind of shows a pattern to
Yep.
me. It's kind of like, I know that adult and child abuse materials are very different, but at the same time, you're still talking about when he was 15, he was doing this to siblings that were way younger. So I think it just shows a pattern very early on that I mean, it's not a surprise we're here because of what we know. And we talked about him being on that Ashley Madison website. Now, here's the thing. He has admitted publicly that he has an addiction to this. He said in a statement at that time, I've been the biggest hypocrite ever. While espousing faith and family values, I've secretly, over the last several years, been viewing pornography on the internet, and this has become an addiction. So I don't know how you're wanting to keep it out when he told media outlets that he had an addiction.
Yeah, I say it has to go in.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Another defense motion says that a previous filing by the government was an argument that turns the Constitution on its head, and that a refusal to deny this motion regarding the relevance of calling some of Duggar's coworkers as witnesses would have chilling consequences.
Yeah, so the defense motion said that the prior filing finds absolutely no support in law and it should be rejected. And they both filed motions about Josh's behavior as a teenager when he molested his sisters. So the defense wants the judge to deny the admission of certain evidence because it would make the trial into what they call a series of mini trials concerning whether Duggar violated an Arkansas law approximately 18 years ago when he was a child, despite never being charged or convicted. And I think that more than the Ashley Madison scandal is relevant because you see, first of all, 15 isn't exactly a child. I know we think it's a child, but 15, I mean, you're 3 years away from being an adult. You know right from wrong at 15. If he's 7 and this happens, then you would obviously look into that deeper and see if something had been done to him or something like that. 15, they know right from wrong.
Yeah.
So the state says the information is relevant and highly probative of the defendant's knowing receipt and possession of child abuse materials. I mean, we know he molested 5 minors. 4 of those were his sisters, and the one that wasn't a sister was a babysitter. So the courts have allowed the prosecution's motion to subpoena an individual's bank account to show they were not at Wholesale Motors, and this person wasn't even in Arkansas at the time of the crimes. The man in question was in Missouri during the relevant time frame in this case.
That's huge. That's huge because that's who he tried to throw under the bus.
Right. And I love the fact that they're going to say, here's his Bank of America, and he was spending money in Missouri. So let's put that baby to bed and not try to put it off on somebody else. This is not like saying, I think he took somebody's wallet.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a
Exactly.
crazy big crime. So when is
Yeah.
all of this due?
So the information is due tomorrow, November, whatever tomorrow is, the 17th,
Actually,
right?
I typed this up, I think Saturday. So it was due yesterday.
I gotcha.
So
So
all of these bank statements
yeah,
were now, see, I think what this is in relation to is Jim Bob allegedly told people an ex-convict employed by Josh was the one who downloaded this stuff on Josh's computer.
dude, just own up to what you did.
Exactly.
So the filing on November 3rd said the state believes the defendant will attempt to introduce evidence suggesting that other individuals had access to the HP desktop computer, therefore could have committed the offenses charged in the indictment, and calls the evidence nothing more than wishful speculation based on bare suspicion.
Yep.
And there are three individuals named in this motion, and the prosecution asked the court to exclude third-party guilt evidence. And he faces up to 40 years in prison and 500,000 in fines if convicted.
Crossing my fingers. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where we are with this case. Really soon is I don't think it's going to be streamed because it's federal, but hopefully there'll be some
Yeah.
people in that courtroom that we can kind of read their tweets and follow along a bit. I don't know how long this is expected to take, but I'm ready to learn what happens in that courtroom every day because, a lot of people are for a few years. Everybody kind of watched this show with this sort of, wow, this is crazy. They look like they really have it together, even though they've got a ton of kids running around. And then over the years, as we know, families aren't perfect, and you find out there's a ton of dysfunction. They do this thing where, like, they'll put a tiny baby on a blanket, and if that baby rolls off the blanket, they'll spank it. Now, this is a baby that can't even, like, sit up hardly.
What?
Yeah, it's some kind of blanket training, and it teaches, like, following orders or discipline or something. I mean, there's just some messed up
That's
stuff.
weird.
That's suspicious.
That's weird.
These type of families, I watched the show maybe, like, for half a season, and it just seems like these kids raised each other. She would pop a
Yep.
baby out, one of the older ones would get a younger buddy to make sure I don't know. Some of these girls have gotten out of this family, and they're doing their own thing, and oh my gosh, they're wearing pants and using birth control. Who knew?
Uh-oh.
So, anyways, I am getting ready to go to the concert. Even though I
Have
feel
fun.
not so good, I would crawl in there. My girls are in there getting ready, super excited. We will be back tomorrow. We're going to update on these filings with Lori and Chad. If we have time, we'll go ahead and start Zulema's police interview. But if we break down these documents, they looked lengthy, so it might be that tomorrow we're just going to go through and kind of see what they're filing. So you
Yep.
guys have a good evening. We will see you soon.